Welcome back to our Fordham Hall of Fame series, and we're now pleased to be joined by longtime Fordham rowing coach, 2021 Fordham Hall of Fame member, Ted Bonanno. Ted, it's great to have you here. My first question, I got to ask you, you spent 31 years as Fordham's rowing coach. You're now a member of the Fordham Hall of Fame. What does that mean to you?
Oh, it means everything. It's just a tremendous honor. I'm thrilled that I was selected, and I'm really one of the things that really does make it thrilling is I've had a lot of rowers go into the Hall of Fame during my tenure at Fordham, and I'm really pleased to join all of them in that august group.
Certainly so. And you've had a number of honors in your career. I wanted to ask you personally, though, because you grew up in the Bronx. You went to high school at then St. Helena's High School, now known as Monsignor Scanlon, and you kind of discovered your love of rowing in that place. So how fulfilling is it for you to have all of this come full circle when all of this kind of happened in the Bronx, and now you're going into the Fordham Hall of Fame?
I know, it's amazing, and I discovered rowing at St. Helena's High School. They happen to have a rowing team. I didn't even know what rowing was, So it was just just a gigantic coincidence that they had a rowing team. They didn't have a football team. That's the only sport I would have played in high school. If they had football, I probably would have never even thought of joining rowing. But since they didn't, I figured let me try something new, and it worked out quite well.
How thankful are you that that wound up actually happening? That as you say, if they would have had a football team, you would have just chosen football, and things would have worked out quite differently. I'm sure you would have been successful. But how thankful are you by that bizarre coincidence that they actually, by not having that sport, it wound up basically changing your entire life? I know that sounds like an exaggeration, but it's not.
And there were a number of coincidences. It wasn't just that St. Helena's had rowing. The other factors that really played into it quite a bit was the fact that they rowed out of the New York AC Boathouse. The mentor of the program was Jack Soldier, who's a Fordham Hall of Famer himself, and he was the head coach at the New York AC. He became my coach almost instantly, and I started to rub elbows with some of the best rowers in the world. So so I got a very intense early indoctrination into the sport. So that was a big factor in kind of pushing me towards rowing being such a major part of my life.
Ted, over your career, you led the Fordham rowing team to a ton of success in the Atlantic 10, at a conference as well. In your 31 years as the Fordham rowing coach, all the stuff you've accomplished, all the success that you've had, what are your favorite memories of serving in that role, of working with so many different student athletes over the years?
I thought you might ask that, and I've been thinking about it a little bit. And there are several memorable moments, but if I had to pin it down to just a few, or one or two or three, the first one that I always point to is when we won when our women's team won the Division I national championships back in 1994. That was a gigantic event for us, and we were tremendous underdogs going into that. I mean, Radcliffe was a gigantic favorite to win. I think they had won probably 10 years in a row. Just going to that event was a big deal, and then actually winning it was just a gigantic thrill for me and the team. It was just a huge moment for us, and they won. Watching the race from start to finish, it was really a very competitive race. It was a full full field in the final, but it was just us and Radcliffe battling it out, and it was back and forth for a little bit, and then we took a very small lead and held it for most of the second half of the race, and then we kind of broke away, and I could sigh a little bit of a relief as they approached the finish line, because they had about 3/4 of a boat length, and as they got closer, I knew they were going to win. So it was just a gigantic thrill, for all of us that day.
And then, Ted, before we let you go, I got to ask you, if you would have been told 31 years back when you started as the head coach of Fordham Rowing that it would all come to this, that you would be a Hall of Famer and you would be one of the most successful coaches really in any sport in the history of Fordham athletics, could you have ever fathomed that it would end this way, with you having so much success and now being enshrined, as you said earlier, into such an august group at Fordham?
No, I I could have never dreamed of all this happening, and and probably the biggest part of my experience at Fordham is the 31 years. I mean, I never dreamed that I'd be coaching at Fordham for that long, but right from the beginning, I really liked it there. Everyone treated me tremendously well. I got to know the administration right from the president on down. Had a very good relationship with Frank McLaughlin, the athletic director, for the first several years I was there. I got involved with a lot of other things at Fordham. I worked in the development office for a few years. I directed athletic facilities for a few years. So I did some other roles while I was there. But of course, the one thing that I just consistently did from day one was coach the team, and it's been a tremendous ride, and a long and cherished one at this point.
Ted Bonanno, legendary Fordham rowing coach and the newest member of the Fordham Hall of Fame class of 2021. Ted, thank you so much for being with us. Congratulations on this great honor.
Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you very much.